Welcome to the webinar on goal setting. Thanks so much for joining me today. It's really great to have you all here on the important topic of goal setting, because if we don't know where we're going, we can't get there. So goal setting is actually critical to our success. And I know today I've shared with you that I'm going to talk about the fact that actually, why don't you achieve your goals? Help you think about strategies for success. And really give you 3 keys that will ensure that goal setting happens for you in the future. But before I do that, I'd just like to introduce myself, because I'm sure some of you know me really well, but maybe some of you haven't heard about me before. So I'm Jenny Garrett. I'm an author of a book called Rocking Your Role, the how-to guide to success for female breadwinners. I'm a speaker. I speak regularly at women's events and also leadership events. And I'm also founder of Reflection Associates, which is a leadership and training consultancy that provides leadership development, but particularly with a diversity and inclusion lens. So you can see some things about me there. I'm a regular commentator on Sky News. I also co-founded a social enterprise about 3 years ago called Rocking Your Teens. And we provide inspirational conferences for 13 to 14-year-old boys and girls nationally in the UK to inspire them, increase their aspirations, and ensure that they can make a social difference. So I'm hoping you can see the slides and hear me loud and clear. I see some highs there. And so I will begin. Now, this webinar will last around an hour. About 45 minutes of that will be me sharing real quality and informative content with you. Now, you can save questions to the end if you wish. Okay, someone's told me that the screen is a little bit small. We'll see if that helps to make it a little bit bigger. Thanks so much for pointing that out to me. Let me know if that's any bigger for you, if that screen is any better. If not, I'll try again and to make it a little bit larger. So let me know if it's still quite small. Yes, as I said, there'll be about 45 minutes of me providing quality and informative content for you. Then there'll be 15 minutes at the end for questions. But if you're the type of person who wants to ask questions in the moment, then please also feel free to do that. I don't want you to miss the moment and forget the question. All communication will be via the chat box, so please feel free to use it. And I know that many of you have found it already, so hopefully that will be fine for you. And the session is recorded. So I just want you to know that your questions may come up on the recording. The recording will be sent out 24 hours after the webinar completes, and it will be available to people just for about 48 hours after that. So the webinar is not available forever, just for a short time for those who may have missed the recording. I'm hoping that this is a little bit better for those who are finding it difficult to see. Apologies if it is a little bit small. So the objectives of today's session: you're going to learn why your goals haven't been achieved in the past. You're going to think about how to deal with goal setbacks. And we're going to think about why purpose and planning are interconnected in terms of achieving your goals. We all have goals. They provide momentum and motivation in our lives. But why are some people better at obtaining their goals than others? I'm going to share with you some proven strategies for goal setting success. I know when I wrote my book, Rocking Your Role, it was a goal that I achieved in 90 days with the help of a coach. The idea for me was to have a vision, but then to break it down into the small steps that were needed to achieve it. I know there are lots of people who want to write a book who have never done so. And what really helped was me breaking it down, was me anticipating difficulties, but also connecting with why it was important for me. What was my purpose? So what are your goals? How have you attempted to reach them so far? I'd love for you to share in the chat box what are the goals that you're looking to achieve in the coming year, and any strategies you've employed so far. So I'm going to give you a moment to do that. Okay. I'm hoping you can still hear and see me okay. The screen seems, on my end, it doesn't seem to be showing, but I'm hoping that it's still showing for you. So we've got lose weight, write a journal, regular exercise. Yeah, very common goals and really good goals as well. I think particularly writing a journal is a really good one to start reflecting on what you're doing and how you're approaching things. So some really important goals there. Mine is around growing my business and having the right work-life balance. Someone else has said to sleep more. That's key. I don't know if any of you read Arianna Huffington's book, but she talks about how the fact that she didn't sleep much, how it really damaged her career and her health. And getting 8 hours a night of sleep is so important. So a few good goals there. Well done. I think they're really good goals to have. We know what we should do, don't we? But sometimes it's much harder to do it. So by the end of this webinar, we're gonna be able to do them. So someone else has said set up a retail store, get work-life balance. Oh, I love that. Set up a retail store. I want to know what you're going to be selling. And someone else has said one of my goals was to find a new job in an industry where my passion lies, which has happened. Oh gosh, you've achieved it already. And did you only start in January? So that's very impressive. So it's interesting when you actually set your goals, how they manifest themselves, but also what you do when you have achieved them is really important. Someone said that they're finding it difficult to hear me at times. I'm doing my very best. I'm staying in one place and I'm close to the microphone. So I'm hoping that you can all hear me okay. So great, we've got some of your goals out here into the world, and publicly declaring them is one good way of achieving them, actually. Just being able to say, this is my goal, this is what I'm going to do, it holds you to account. Again, when I wrote my book, one of the things I did was I actually publicly declared it to my close friends on Facebook saying, I'm writing a book. And that meant that I knew people were going to ask me about it, which meant that I had to do something about it. So what is a goal? I think it's important for us to think about what is this thing that we are actually creating. And a goal is the ongoing pursuit of a worthy objective until completed and until accomplished. Why do we set goals? Well, top level athletes, successful business people, and achievers in all fields set goals. Goal setting provides long-term vision and short-term motivation. It focuses our acquisition of knowledge and helps us to organize our time and our resources so we can make the very best of our life. By setting clearly defined goals, we can measure and take pride in our achievement of those goals, and we'll see forward progress in what might previously have seemed like a long, pointless grind, maybe. Setting goals and achieving them raises our self-confidence. And as we recognize our own ability and competence in achieving the goals we've set. So, it's a really important part of feeling good about ourselves, feeling good about our lives, actually just setting those goals and achieving them and having some success. It's all key. It's all really important. And it makes a big difference for us. And I think we all know what it feels like when we don't achieve our goals. It feels disappointing. We don't feel so worthy. And it doesn't make us feel like we want to set more goals in the future. So, setting goals, it's not just about setting them, it's about achieving them. And I'm guessing that's why you're actually on this webinar in the first place. So why haven't you achieved goals in the past? Well, these could be some of the reasons. Perhaps you didn't follow your plan and break it down into small steps. If I say I want to lose weight, and then I don't say, well, I want to lose a couple of pounds a month, for example. If I don't break it down like that, then I actually, it's too big. If I want to lose 1.5 stone, for example, and I don't say how much that gradual progress is going to be, and maybe don't even set rewards in place for myself to do it, then I have some challenges. So think about the goal. Sorry about that, the message has come through. So think about the goal, think about how you break it down into small steps, and think about how you reward yourself for them. Perhaps you haven't continued to build relationships and learn about opportunities. Have you thought, I'm going to do this on my own? I don't need help. I don't need support. I don't need additional knowledge. That's a mistake. And have you owned it? Is it your goal, or has it been someone else's goal? Perhaps you have a partner who wants to, start running. Well, that's their goal. If you just do it to go along with them, it's not really your goal, and you won't own it, and you might not achieve it. This is really important. The goal needs to be meaningful for you. It's a really important part of it. What difference does this goal mean for you? Maybe you have children, and by doing this goal, it will secure their future, or you'll be around for their wedding when they're older. Or maybe you care about the planet, and this goal will help save the planet, or at least contribute to making the planet better. Or perhaps you have a cause that you're passionate about, poverty, or, an underrepresented group, and you want to do something. How is your goal meaningful? If we look at the getting more sleep, perhaps you'll engage in better relationships and do better work. If we think about losing weight and being healthy, perhaps you'll be around for your family longer, or perhaps you won't be a burden to your family in the future. What makes that goal meaningful for you? Hello, Rosa. It's nice to see you, Rosanna. Nice to see you. Thanks for saying hi in the chat box. So I'm hoping you can all hear me and see the slides on the screen okay. Now, the other thing that you need to think about is you need to build flexibility into your goal. Whatever we dream of and anticipate, sometimes actually, it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't mean that that's the wrong thing. You may say, I'm going to run a marathon, and then you may find you have back problems or an ankle problem. But that doesn't mean that you can't maybe do a half marathon, or you can't do some other exercise, or you can't be a supporter on the side of the marathon helping others to get through. So you do have to build some flexibility into your goal, because otherwise you get the first setback and you give up. So how can you build flexibility in there? How can you ensure that you still feel that you've achieved something? And you need to make the goal challenging and exciting. We need to build some stretch in there, because if the goal is something that that you can easily do, you don't feel a stretch to do it. Some of you may be pressure prompted. You wait to a deadline to be able to achieve it. You wait till you've got right to the end of that deadline, and then suddenly you swing into action. This is a bit like that. If it's not challenging and exciting, you might just sit on the sofa thinking, I'll do it sometime. It's not getting me out of bed. It's not pushing me. It's not inspiring me. So when you look at your goals, think about, are they challenging and exciting for me? And you need to ensure that the goal is aligned with your values. You need to know what your values are, of course, to be able to do that. But there are so many values exercises on the internet that I can share with you, or that you can find. So be clear on your values. So if your values are around independence, for example, and your goal is really about depending on lots of other people, maybe you're not going to achieve it. Maybe it's not going to work for you. So understand your values and align your goals with them. You need to also have balance in your goals. So sometimes we only set career goals, or sometimes we only set personal goals. But actually having quite a holistic approach to your goals is really important. So if you look at your goals right now and think they're all around work, can you stick one personal one in there? Or if they're all around the personal stuff, can you put one work-related goal in there, or social goal, or something just slightly different to create some balance, so you don't have this tunnel vision and only be looking at things in one way. I encourage people to limit their goals. I think 3 goals a year, 3 big goals are important. By the time you break them down into many steps, then you would have achieved something. So don't have too many. It's overwhelming. You sort of spread yourself too thinly, and even if you do achieve them, you might not feel good at the end of it because of what you had to spend in your energy. And lastly, have clarity around your goals. Make them clear. Don't make them vague. I want to lose a bit of weight. That's not good enough. I want to lose 10 pounds by 6 months' time. Really good. Or I want to fit into this dress that's the size smaller than I am currently by my sister's wedding. You know, really clear, really specific goals. But we're going to talk more about that later. So tell me, do any of these resonate with you? Have you fallen into any of these pitfalls? Could they be the reason why you haven't achieved goals in the past? If you type in the chat box, just, you know, the number, if one of them resonates with you, maybe number 3 or number 4 resonates with you, just type the number in, just so I know that you're understanding where I'm coming from, and that these are resonating with you as reasons why perhaps you haven't achieved in the past. So I'm going to give you a minute to do that. I know it does take a minute or so to come through. Slides are not showing. That's okay. Let's see what's happened here. Thanks for pointing that out to me. What I might do is close the slides down then and reopen them. So thanks for letting me know. Do let me know if you can now see the slides. Apologies for that. So balance has been for me, sorry, don't know what number that is, obviously, because you couldn't see the slides, but it's been about the balance of goals. Thank you. Someone says not setting a deadline, not breaking, not breaking down into small daily steps. Lovely. So great. So these are resonating with you. So immediately, these are strategies for you to start achieving your goals in the future. You kind of can see now immediately where perhaps you've been going a little bit wrong there. So brilliant. That's great. Thank you for those who have responded. And I'm hoping that you can now see the slides. Can you just confirm to me that you can see them okay? Just see someone say yes, so I have an idea. Lovely. Thank you so much for confirming. That's brilliant. Okay. So preparing your goals. We set goals on a number of levels. First, you could create your big picture of what you want to do with your life, or maybe say over the next 10 years. So for me, I would like to pay off my mortgage, and I'd like to perhaps do a PhD when I've done that, and really study full time, because I've always studied since school, studied part-time for my degree and my master's degree. I haven't been able to just engross myself in a topic. So you identify your large-scale goals that you want to achieve, and then you break these down into smaller and smaller targets you must hit to reach your lifetime goals. Yeah. So for example, I might say to myself, well, if I want to pay off my mortgage, perhaps I need to pay a little bit extra each month. If I want to do a PhD, maybe I need to make sure there'd be someone else to run my business. And I break these down into smaller things. So I need to recruit now for someone who would be my successor. I need to think about what I'd want to do, and how I'd want to do that, and how I'd want to train them. So you break it down into these small things. And then finally, once you have a plan, you start working on it to achieve these goals. We'll start the process of setting goals by looking at your lifetime goals. Then we work down to the things that you can do in, say, the next 5 years, and then the next year, and then the next month, and then the next week, and then today. And then you start moving forward on them. So you see that big picture, how I'd like to be at retirement, or, how I'd like to be in the next 10 years. Then you think, in 5 years' time, where would I need to be? In a year's time, where would I need to be? in 6 months, in a month. So you work backwards from that huge vision you have of where you're taking yourself. So the first step in setting these personal goals, if we start there, is to consider what you want to achieve in, a significant time, and then get an overall perspective of all of those aspects in your decision making. To give yourself a broad and balanced coverage of all the important areas in your life, you can set up goals in some of these categories that you can see on the screen. So career, what level do you want to reach in your career? Where are the important priorities for you? If you run a business, do you want to run it large enough to put it on the stock exchange, or do you want to have franchise it, or is it enough just to be a one-man band but you to be financially sustainable? Or maybe you want a business that you can travel all around the world and it doesn't matter where you are, you can still run the business. If it's financial, how much do you want to earn? By what stage? How is that related to your career goals, for example? If it's around education, is there any knowledge you want to acquire in particular? What information and skills will you need to have in order to achieve other goals? Or maybe it's around family. Do you want to be a parent? If so, how are you going to be a good parent? How do you want to be seen by a partner or by other members of your extended family? Do you want to have a partner? Do you always want to be near family? Does that impact how you make your decisions and your goals? Perhaps you have artistic goals. Perhaps you've always wanted to paint or sing or play a musical instrument. Tune into that side of yourself. What is it that you want to do? And maybe there's also something about your attitude. Have you got goals around how you want to think and how you want to be in your life? Is any part of your mindset holding you back? Is it any part of the way you behave that upsets you? And if so, you can set a goal to improve your behavior or find a solution to that problem. So perhaps you put so much into work at the moment that when you see your family, you're a bit grumpy, for example. Maybe you snap easily. Maybe you don't have much patience, much time for them. You could set a goal around your attitude to family and how you're going to be calmer and how you're going to be kinder and how you're going to give family time, for example. Maybe you have physical goals, that you want to achieve, good health. Maybe you want good health deep into your old age. What are the steps that you need to do to achieve that? On my online program, this is one slide. So someone said the slides aren't changing, but this is one slide actually. So hopefully it's fine. On my online program, there's a particular part about the physical health. And the chap who gives us the advice says actually women specifically should weightlift because we need to be strong in later life. And the only way to be strong is to have strong muscles because often we have weaker bones. So one of the challenges would be, if you're in your 40s or 50s, to actually start weightlifting to make yourself strong so that your muscles support your bones as you go into later life. Leisure. How do you want to enjoy yourself? You should ensure that some of your life is for you. You only live once. How can you have fun? Because sometimes we set these really serious, tough goals, but we don't think about actually where's the fun in this? How am I going to have pleasure time? What are do I want to travel? Do I just want to, go to comedy clubs? How do I have downtime with the people I care about? Or is there something about public service? Do you want to make the world a better place? If so, how? I mentioned I have Rocking Your Teens, my social enterprise that I co-founded with colleagues. And, that's my goal around my public service, to make sure teens feel inspired and empowered and can make a difference. So I have goals around that area of my life. So what you do then is you spend some time brainstorming these things, and then you select one or more goals in each category that best reflects what you want to do. And then you consider trimming again, so that in the end, you just have a small number of significant goals that you can really focus on. As you do this, make sure that the goals you've set are ones that you genuinely want to achieve, not ones that other people would want you to do. So it's not about parents or families or employers or a partner that wants these things. It really has to be you. So any questions about that so far? Okay. Okay. Can't see any questions coming through. But as I've said, please, I'm really happy for this to be interactive. So please do send any questions as you wish. Now, I've just changed the slide. So hopefully you can see another slide entitled Personal Goal Setting. So these questions will help you get a better idea of your big picture. Take a few minutes just now to reflect on them just for a minute. You may also wish to set some time aside after this webinar today to further clarify your responses. But just if you've got a piece of paper in front of you, just think, what are my long-term career goals? Where do I want to be at the pinnacle of my career? And you can describe them in as much detail as you can, because once you've got a visual picture of them, then that's really good. What will help me get from where I am today, from where I am to where I want to be? Just jotting down a few of those points can be really helpful. And also, what could get in my way? I think what could get in your way is one of the big things that people don't think about when they set their goals. And as soon as something does get in the way, it derails them. So just spending a minute thinking, what could get in my way? What do I want? What will help me get there? What will get in my way? So I'm just going to give you a minute just to think about that. So I'm hoping that's just started the process for you, started you thinking, and you can continue with those questions and those thoughts after the webinar. So I want us now to think a little bit about professional goal setting, because some of you may have been more interested in the professional rather than the personal. And these questions will help you get a better idea of where and how you could make an additional contribution to your organization or to your business. If you're employed, it will be to the organization you work for. And if it's your business, it's helping you to reflect on your business. So what areas of your organization may be growing? And what skills are needed for that growth? If you're going into business, you might want to get more familiar with social media or marketing or accounting, for example, or retail, particularly for this person who wants to start their own retail business. You might want to surround yourself with retailers and learn from their experiences. You need to think about what challenges will the organization be facing in the next 2 years. If you're employed, a great thing you can do is actually just start to think about, well, what are the current trends? Where is my business going? What are they thinking of? What might I need to equip myself with? There's a huge amount now around technology. Could you be at the forefront of some sort of technology that could put you in a really good position in the next couple of years for the business that you work in? Instead of just working hard at your job, you need to think about what's coming. And how can I position myself for the future? And if you're running a business, you definitely need to do that. You need to be always evolving and growing and developing, thinking what's next, what's coming, and how can I make a difference with that? Understanding your unique strengths is key, no matter what you're doing, employed or running your own business. What's unique about me? There'll always be something. Even if you don't think, oh, my particular skills are unique, it's the unique combination of skills and strengths and experiences that make you unique. So make sure you've spent some time knowing what those are, being able to articulate those. And how will I be also meeting my personal career goals? So, if I'm doing it for an organization, they want technologists in the future. How will it serve me on a personal level as well? What's in it for me? And what skills do I need to continue to develop? So this goal setting is all about forward thinking, really. It's about helping you to think about not just what's needed for now, but what's needed for the future, so that you're in a really strong position. Now, as I mentioned earlier, in order to realistically obtain long-term goals, we need to break them down into smaller steps. So we're going to talk about how you do that now. And I know someone said that this was one of their areas that they had challenges with. Sorry, I'm just double checking the plug on my laptop because I'd hate for it to all disappear. So so setting these smaller steps is really important. So once you have set your lifetime goals, or set a 5-year plan, or just set a yearly goal, whatever you want to have done, then you create the smaller plan. So you've gone from maybe lifetime to 5-year to 1 year to 6 months to 1 month. And what you're basically doing is creating progressively smaller and smaller goals that will help you achieve the larger goal. And each of those should be based on the previous plan. So if I have my lifetime goals, then my 10-year goals are based on that, and my 5-year goals are based on the 10-year, and my 1 year is based on the 5-year, for example. So you keep drilling down and drilling down. Ultimately, then you get to create a daily to-do list of things that you should do today to work towards your lifetime goal. So at an early stage, your smaller goals might be to read books or gather information in order to help you achieve the higher goal. And that will help you improve the quality and realism of your goal setting. And then when you've got all of that, then you finally review your plan and make sure it fits, the way in which you want to live your life. So, this is really important. It's breaking it down till you get something that you can do immediately, something small enough that you can do today and that you can do immediately, that you don't have to wait for. Periodically, I would recommend that you review your long-term plans and modify them to reflect your changing priorities and experience. At different points in your life, at one point in your life, you may be seriously ambitious and seriously career orientated. And another part, you might be coming to the end of your career and you might be thinking, well, that's not what I'm about. I'm about leaving a legacy in a different way, for example. So it's really important to keep reviewing them, reasonably regularly at different points in your life. And you can do things like set task reminder alerts on your smartphone or on email. I use my notes on my iPhone to put my to-dos in and cross them off. I find that a really useful way of reminding myself of things. I also sometimes put things in my calendar to pop up on a particular day to remind me to do something. So there are lots of apps that are really great at helping you to do that sort of thing now. And you have to find the sort of system that works for you. So this is just an example of when you've got your goals, how to break them down and how to actually help yourself plan them effectively. So you could write, the number of your goal, the goal type. Is it professional? What is your goal? To improve your presentation skills, for example. This is once you've broken it down a bit, you want to improve your presentation skills. So then you have specific objectives. Maybe you need to book some presentation skills training, and maybe have some review schedules with your manager to ask him or her for their feedback on your presentations. You can have an outcome measure, confidently deliver a 10-minute presentation, perhaps at the next team meeting. And then you can weight your goal. And this is key to help you prioritize. How important is this? It's 25%. It's important, but it's not the most important thing. And give yourself a date for your goal. So, actually having these things in place help you look back. It's so easy to set goals at the beginning of the year and forget what they were, or have some vague idea of when you wanted to do them, and then go back the next year and say, oh, yeah, I did mean to do this. But when you spend this amount of time planning them and giving them timelines, you're much more likely to achieve them. So here's another example. Patricia, for her New Year's goal setting, she wants to be an IT manager of the company she works for. She breaks it down over 5 years. She wants to become a deputy manager. Her 1-year goal is to volunteer for projects that the current IT manager is heading up. 6-month goal, enroll in college to complete IT management degree. 1-month goal, talk to the current IT manager to determine what skills are needed to do the job. 1 week goal, book the meeting with the IT manager. So you see, it's all broken down. She broke down her big goal into smaller goals, into more manageable goals, and it makes it far easier to see how the goal will be accomplished. It's like they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Yeah, then that's what you have to do. So earlier we discussed the importance of a to-do list, and how you create that is really important as well. I wonder what your to-do lists are like. Are they just one huge long list that goes on forever? Or are they are they prioritized? It's important to think about how you actually have your to-do list. So you can write down all the tasks you need to complete. If they're large tasks, break them down into first action step, and write this down with the larger task. So you might, say, my task is to read a book, for example. I might say, well, I'll read the first chapter by the end of the week. So you have the larger task and then you have the smaller task. Yeah. Ideally task or action steps should take no longer than 1 to 2 hours to complete. So that can give you a little bit of guidance there. Some people find it easier to compile several lists. So you might have one for covering personal, one for study, one for home, one for workplace, for example. You can try different approaches and use the best situation for you. I have, as I've said, I've got a couple of businesses and different projects. I do have separate to-do lists for them. And that helps me because I like to focus. So I'll work on the to-do list for a particular bit of the business on a particular day, rather than jumping from one thing to another. But, we're all different. So the next step is to run through these tasks, allocating priorities. For 1 for very important or urgent, 10 not so important or urgent. And this is really good thing for you to do, because we often find ourselves doing the things that are not so important or urgent because they're easy, but they're not making the big impact. So actually doing that is really good. And if you find then also that you have, too many high priority tasks, you can run through the list again and maybe start to demote the less important ones. Once you've done this, you have to rewrite the list in order of priority. And how do you use it? Well, to use your list, simply work through it in order, dealing with tasks given a priority ranking of 1, then 2s, then 3s, and so on. And as you complete the tasks, tick them off or strike them through. And I think we all know how satisfying that is. I love crossing something through or ticking it off. What you put on your list and how you use it will depend on your situation. For instance, if you're in a sales role, a good way to motivate yourself is to keep your list relatively short and aim to complete it every day. But if you're in an operational role, or if your tasks are large and dependent on other people, then it may be better to focus on the longer term list and chip away at it all day by day. Many people find it helpful to spend, say, 10 minutes at the end of the day organizing tasks on their list for the next day. And I think that's a really good thing to do. So when you get into work to start your job the next day, you've got your list and you've organized it already. A real good tip is, once you're comfortable using the to-do list, you can start differentiating between urgency and important. So what's actually urgent and what's important, what's going to make the difference. Because sometimes things are really urgent, but they're not going to make a significant difference. And it's the important work you need to do. And when you're creating your action plan, it's really important to set SMART goals. And I'm sure you've come across these before, so I won't spend too much time on the SMART goals. But they come from a book called Attitude is Everything by Paul J. Mayer. And basically the goal must be clear and unambiguous. It must be really have clarity. To make your goals specific, they must convey exactly what's expected, what's important, who's involved, what's going to happen, and how it will happen. I think what you're hearing from me is that maybe if you haven't spent enough time really focusing in on your goals, you're not going to achieve them. What do I want to accomplish? What are the specific reasons, the benefits and the purpose? Who's going to be involved? What's the location, if that's applicable? What are the requirements? What are the constraints? How am I going to measure it? Can I measure it? If it's not measurable or trackable, it's not going to get done. Is it attainable? Is it something that I actually can do? Have I set it too far away? Is it something I can develop and grow into achieving? Is it realistic? Making sure it's not, too easy for yourself, but also not too much of a stretch. If I say I'm going to lose 40 pounds in the next 4 weeks, it's not realistic. It wouldn't be healthy. If I say I only want to sleep for 4 hours a night for the next year because I want to have more time to get what I need done, again, not realistic. It's going to damage my health. And is it tangible? Can I taste it, touch it, smell it, see it, hear it? Is it something real enough for me to actually make happen? So goal setting is really successful when you can control it. If you say, I want someone else to do something, it's kind of out of my control. If I say I'm going to do something, that's in my control. Then I might be able to influence someone to do something for me, but I can't control what they'll do. So it's helpful for you to make a list of all the factors affecting your ability to attain your goal, and then create these 3 rings that you can see on the screen: control, influence, and concern. Think about, of all those things around your ability to achieve your goal and obtain your goal, what can you control, what can you influence, and what is really out of your control, no matter what you say or do. This is important to understand. Some things, if it's in your control, you have a say. If it's influence, you can influence it, you have a little bit of say. If it's in the concern area, you have no say. So put your energy towards what you can control rather than what you can't. Yeah, this is really important for you to achieve your goals. Because if your goal setting is around something that you have no say over, you're going to be frustrated and you're not going to achieve it. Now, there's lots you can do to develop your goal setting. You can look at books out there, workbooks, manuals. You can join circles of people who focus on the career and support groups. You can join training classes and career workshops. You can do some continued education, some training at work, or you could join professional organizations. So there's lots of things you can do to develop your goal setting skills and ensure that you achieve your goals. It's really important to think about, how do I focus on something that will reinforce the behavior that I want to do? And if your previous attempts have failed, it doesn't mean that isn't attainable for the future, because now you have a lot more information and support to ensure that you achieve your goals now. How do you deal with setbacks? Failure is scary, but things like post-it notes were formed by failure. The chap who provided that glue wasn't trying to actually provide post-it notes, but found out that this was a really helpful thing, that you could stick something and that it could come away. Thomas Edison was actually hearing impaired and fidgety. He only lasted 3 months in school, where his teacher said he was too stupid to learn anything. And look, and he was homeschooled by his mum and actually invented the light bulb. He said, actually, I've never failed. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work. And think about anyone who rides a bike, how many times you've had to fall off the bike in order to learn. So, prepare for mistakes, prepare for failure. No one is perfect, but failures are an opportunity to learn. And also learn from your experience of bouncing back, of resilience. How have I bounced back before? What does that teach me about how I can bounce back for the future? And also understand what your strengths are. A good thing to do is to keep track of your past successes and draw on those when you reach setbacks in the road. You can save awards, emails, notes of thanks for a job well done, record examples of your best work in a portfolio, keep a journal of good and bad days, and look at those when you're struggling with confidence. And just remember, how have I overcome things in the past? So I think it's really important to know your why. Why do I want to achieve this goal? And you may have come across this quote before by Nietzsche, who said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." What will keep you on track and what will keep you on focused is your why. Why do I want to achieve this goal? It must be connected with you and your values and everything, and therefore you'll do anything for it. If my mission is to empower transform the world, empowering one woman at a time. That keeps me on track. I know why I want to do it. I know what I want to do. And therefore, if I have to work long hours or do some things that I don't enjoy as a result of it, I do that because I'm so connected to my why. So spend some time really making that connection. So I want to leave you with my three keys to successful goal setting. You have to plan, you have to break it down. I hope you've got some tips on how to do this do that in this webinar. You have to know your why, and you have to build on your resilience. You must remember how you've bounced back before and be prepared to bounce back again. And lastly, I think you have to surround yourself with people who will build you, who will lift you higher, people who get it, who want to support you in your goals and encourage you to achieve. So I just want to leave you with information on my online program, the Happinista Project. It's a real support network of people who want to lift you higher. There are 3 parts to it, step 1, step 2, step 3. They all last 12 weeks, and it's online program. You get videos and worksheets to engage in, as well as a hugely supportive Facebook group of people who enable you to achieve and are there for you to answer any questions. And we also have a monthly video call where we come together on a particular subject. You also get advance notice of any of my events. I had a retreat recently, and we'll be having a Women in Business retreat coming soon. And the people in this group get to know about these events first. And those people who attend the event also get to join a quarterly accountability group where they can really focus on your goals. And there's just a quote from someone who's been part of the group. And there's a code at the bottom. You can see that link. Using that, the first course will be £15 instead of 50. That offer is only open to you for the next 72 hours. So we've got about 13 minutes left. I'm really happy to answer any questions you may have on goal setting, on this webinar, on my online program, on what I do. I'm here to listen and to help. So please feel free to ask any questions. Okay, thank you. So let's just look at this a bit more. The suggestion to go for 3 goals and how to cover all areas of your life. Yeah, I think what you do first, and that's a really good question because there's so many goals that you could set, is really when I say cover all areas of your life, first set the goals, look at what goals you'd set in all of those, and then break it down to what's the biggest priority for you. So although I said, set artistic goals, set financial goals, for example, what you could think about, well, what's the pressing priority for me? And what I would suggest is 3 goals a year. So you'd achieve 3 goals this year, and then next year you'd go back, well, maybe I've kind of sorted out my finances. I can think more about my artistic goals. So it's not 3 goals forever, but 3 goals for the year, just so you can make sure that you achieve them. And, success is a catalyst for more success. So, actually achieving them, it's better to set 3 goals and achieve them than to set 10 goals and not achieve any of them, for your self-confidence, for your level of achievement, and to also give you resources to do more in the future. So I recommend you look at all the areas, but then you prioritize. What are the top 3 that I want to achieve this year? And then, there's always next year to achieve more. I hope that answers your question. Let me know if you have a follow-up question. Well, I will stay here for 10 minutes, just if there are any more questions coming through. But if you don't have any questions, you are free to leave the webinar whenever you're ready. You will get a recording of the webinar in 24 hours time, and that will be available to you for 48 hours only. And as I said, I'd love you all to join the Happinista Project. It's a wonderful group of very supportive people. And we really do some great stuff. And, you know, if you're thinking about how do I keep my momentum going, how do I surround myself with people who lift me higher, how do I help to connect with my why, then that's the place to be. And if there are any men on the webinar, I don't exclude you, but actually I don't have a group for you. So you could always engage in one-to-one coaching, or or if there are enough of you, I could also set something up for you in the future. No, thank you, Ingrid. Thanks for your attention, and I hope it's been useful for you. Someone else has said, I easily get sidetracked. What do you think is the best way to remain focused at all times? Well, I don't think we can remain focused at all times, but we can do our best to have focus times. And there are a couple of things. The first is make it important to you. Remember why it's important, and have something that reminds you of that. You know, if it's for, I don't know what your reason is, maybe, you know, there's something that you're very connected with, have a picture up of it somewhere, a screensaver, or a photo on your desk, something that reminds you why you're doing it. And the other thing I think that you should do is set timing. I don't know if you've heard of the Pomodoro method, but what they say is that you should just focus for a certain amount of time. So you say, I'm going to spend 25 minutes on my accounts, or I'm going to spend 30 minutes thinking about my career, or I'm going to spend 20 minutes reading a book. And so you actually time yourself, and you time your focus in specific areas rather than being sidetracked. If you know you only have to concentrate for 25 minutes, it's much easier than thinking, oh gosh, I've got this task that's going to take me all day. I'll get distracted. So actually just break it down into smaller chunks of attention is a really good way to focus. No problem, Sharon. Thanks for thanks for your attention. I'm glad you found the webinar useful. I hope that answers your question around the remaining focused at all times. I don't think we can as human beings, and I think our attention has got smaller, but break it down into small chunks of, just the same way you break your goals down, break your attention down into small chunks of attention. And you know, I'm a big fan of reward jars. So at the beginning of the year, I fill a jar with rewards for myself, and at different times I reward myself. I might reward myself for eating healthily, for achieving a tricky task, maybe for focusing for a certain amount of time. So build in rewards that will keep you going. And you know, there can be small things like having a wonderful bubble bath, a nice walk, or there could be something you know, bigger than that. Someone's asked if I was going to send the slides. I wasn't necessarily going to send the slides out. You have got the webinar to look at again. So I don't think I'm going to send the slides out, but when you the recording, you can always take a few notes from it. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed listening to this webinar. And I really, you know, if you join the Happinista Project, you can let me know also how you get on. But you can also contact me on Twitter, visit my website, or email me and just let me know how your goal settings got on for you. I'm always interested, and I'm always happy to hear from people and how they've progressed and what they've been able to do. No problem. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm glad you like the idea of the reward jar, because I think what we do is we punish ourselves a lot, don't we? We kind of beat ourselves up about the things we haven't done instead of rewarding ourselves for the things that we have. And I think from a solution focused point of view, which is a psychological stance I take, we want to do more of what works. And by rewarding ourselves, we end up doing more of what works. And things that don't work just seem to minimize and disappear as a result. Yes, the Pomodoro method, yes, was what I suggested. I will spell that. I think it's Pomodoro, like EOMODRO. I will just check that actually while we're here. I'll have a quick check. I don't want to give you the incorrect information. but actually you're already on our group because you're already part of the Happinista project. So actually we've had a few chats about it on there, so you probably would find it on there. But it's actually POMODORO technique, what it's called. So I've typed it in there. Hopefully it's come up. Thank you. I'm glad you found it an excellent webinar. Sorry about the little bit of a glitch at one point with the slides. I hope you've seen that I have a series of webinars now. There'll be one maybe nearly every month on different topics. So please feel free to engage in the whole series. I know you'll learn something, and I hope you'll find something useful with them. So I don't think any more questions are coming through. Have an amazing weekend wherever you are in the world. Enjoy yourself, have some downtime, and I hope you spend some of it goal setting, really planning those goals, getting them written down and planned. Some of this work is what we did on the Happinista retreat just 2 weekends ago. 16 women just sat and we planned and we creatively visioned for our future, and we did this work. So make some time for it, and it will be hugely valuable for you. Any feedback, any suggestions, please feel free to email me. I'm really happy to hear. But thank you so much. So I think with that, I'm going to end the webinar. I'll check this. Oh, great. Glad to hear you're getting the Udemy courses. Yes, the Happinista Project Step 1, 2 and 3. People find them very valuable, and they're accessible on your mobile phone as well. So just say you're going on a long train journey, you can download them at home and then watch them at your leisure on the train journey from your phone. It's just very accessible. You can set a reminder to remind you to access it. And we've got the Facebook group, which is just really supportive as well. So I highly recommend it. I would, but and there you get access to lots of experts. So it's not just me speaking. There are lots of other experts sharing their expertise on it. So yeah, highly recommended. Fabulous. Okay. Well, thank you so much. As I said, have a great weekend wherever you are in the world. And I hope to see you on future webinars or on the Happinista project or in the Facebook group or via social media, or maybe on one of my retreats in the future. I will be putting out news of my next retreat by the beginning of March. So I will let you know. Fabulous. Thanks so much. Take care.